Video game violence has been a topic of debate for many years, as it raises important questions about the influence of media on individuals and society. Advocates argue that video game violence leads to increased aggression and violent behavior, while opponents assert that there is no substantial evidence to support this claim. In this discussion, we will explore both sides of the dispute, examining the potential impact of video game violence on individuals and society. Proponents of the argument that video game violence leads to real-life aggression often point to psychological research and studies that suggest a correlation between exposure to violent video games and increased aggression. They argue that repeatedly engaging in virtual acts of violence desensitizes players to real-world violence, making them more prone to aggressive behavior. Additionally, they claim that the interactive nature of video games contributes to the impact, as players actively participate in violent actions. On the other hand, opponents argue that the link between video game violence and real-life aggression is not well established, and that numerous studies do not find a direct causal relationship. They highlight that correlation does not imply causation, and that other factors, such as individual psychological traits and upbringing, may play a more significant role in determining aggressive behavior. Moreover, they point out that millions of people play violent video games without exhibiting violent tendencies, suggesting that personal characteristics, environmental factors can mediate the influence of media. Critics of the argument linking video game violence to real-life aggression also raise concerns about the methodology of some studies conducted in this area. They contend that many of these studies rely on self-reported measures of aggression, which can be subjective and biased. Additionally, they note that experimental studies often utilize short-term exposure to violent video games, neglecting the long-term effects and potential mitigation. If you've been appropriate must lead them, you can see them in their factors. They advocate for more comprehensive and rigorous research to provide. From a societal perspective, proponents argue that video game violence contributes to a culture of aggression and desensitizes individuals to real-world violence. They express concerns about the potential impact on youth and argue that exposure to violent video games can shape beliefs, attitudes, and behavior. They advocate for stricter regulations and age restrictions on violent video games, asserting that it is necessary to protect vulnerable populations, particularly children and adolescents. In contrast, opponents argue that blaming video game violence for societal issues is an oversimplification of a complex problem. They emphasize the importance of personal responsibility, parental guidance, and education in shaping individual attitudes and behavior. They contend that focusing solely on video games diverts attention from addressing broader social issues, such as poverty, mental health, and family dynamics, which have a more significant impact on society. It's crucial to acknowledge that the impact of video game violence is a multifaceted issue, influenced by a variety of factors. The debate surrounding this topic reflects the ongoing struggle to understand the complex relationship between media, individual psychology, and societal influences. While some argue that video game violence leads to increased aggression and real-life violence, others maintain that there is insufficient evidence to support in the latest further research, utilizing sound methodology and considering various contextual factors is needed to provide a more conclusive understanding of the effects of video game violence on individuals and society.